Hi everyone, welcome to another session. In this session, we will discuss due diligence and due care. So, due diligence and due care, which are often tested on the CISSP exam, and they are very important concept uh, in cybersecurity and risk management. We will try to simplify them in this particular session. So, let's mainly focus on due diligence. So, due diligence, uh, think before you act. Before making any decision, you need to plan it. You need to evaluate risks, doing research, performing risk assessment before choosing a vendor. For instance, you're going to choose a vendor, you need to do research on that vendor, you need to do risk assessment. So that is due diligence. Before making any decision, you need to do a thorough planning. You need to uh, identify all the risks which might be associated to that particular task, right? So that is due diligence. Um, it- Another memory tip I would suggest due diligence, we can also say due deduct, right? So detect means we need to deduct before something happens, identify risk, evaluate options. So, and other way, due care is act responsibility. For instance, after the decision is made, taking appropriate actions to address the risks found. For example, implementing controls, updating policies, patching systems. So these are they come under due care. So due care, we also say due correct. So once you have done your due diligence, you have done your risk assessment, you have done your thorough planning. So due care means that we need to implement the appropriate controls, updating policies, patching systems. So due diligence is the thinking and due care is doing, right? So the planning which you do it. If you fail due care, you might be legally liable if even if you knew uh, the risks, right? So due diligence. And a real world example, how we can differentiate due diligence and due care. It is, for instance, as we discussed that, let's say you are going to choose third party vendor. So before signing a contract with the vendor, your company conducts a background check. Let's say it is a cloud vendor. They check security certification like ISO or 27001 and reviews data handling practices. Due care, after signing, your company monitors the vendor regularly, includes data breach notification clauses in the contract, and ensure they comply with your security policies, right? Another example would be, let's say, employee onboarding. Due diligence, HR and security teams design a secure onboarding process, including assigning least privilege access and training on security awareness. Due care, they actually enforce the access controls, provide the training, and monitor employee behavior for security violation. Another example could be incident response planning. For instance, you develop an incident response plan, test it, and assign roles. Due care, during a real cyber attack, you follow the plan, engage the incident response team, and notify authorities as it needed, right? So, again, if we summarize, due diligence, evaluate, assess, plan, think before you act. Very important. Due care, implement, act, maintain, do the right thing after. Okay, so now if we see this diagram, so here you can see in this image, due diligence and due care are nicely connected. For instance, here you can see plan, do, check, act. So this PDCA cycle, right? So let us break it down in simple terms. So as we discussed, due diligence, think before you act. It is associated with plan and check, right? It involves precautions, investigations, and compliance, right? So precaution means identify risk before doing anything, investigation, evaluating options, vendor systems, right? Compliance, understanding what laws or standard you must meet. Example, before purchasing a new cloud service, you assess its security, privacy, certification, and legal implications. So do you care? Do the right thing. Associated with due, associated with the do implementation phase, what it involves, taking practical actions to mitigate known risk, applying controls that were identified uh, during due diligence, fulfilling your duty of care as a prudent person. For example, after identifying the need for encryption, due diligence, you encrypt sensitive data, train staff, and enforce policy. It is due care, right? This is due care. If an organization performs due diligence but fails to apply due care, it may still be legally liable in case of an incident. Due diligence, as we discussed, think and plan, and do and maintain is due care. This is that's it. About due diligence and due care. As I said earlier, it is important topic for the CISSP exam. Sometimes when we go through this topic, we unable to understand. Sometimes we unable to understand the difference between due diligence and due care. In this video, I try to explain in a simple way that you could understand the difference between due diligence and due care. So if you have any question, feedback, kindly share in the feedback section. Thank you so much for watching this video.